Today's Mercedes-Benz interview of the day brought to you by Mercedes-Benz EV. Owning a Mercedes-Benz EV isn't just extraordinary, it's extra easy. Full remote access to your vehicle from your phone via the Mercedes Me Connect app. The vehicle's all electric, feeling all Mercedes, choice all yours. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQ. He is our good buddy, Colt McCoy. Man, first time we talked to Colt, he was still at the University of Texas. He recently retired, and he joined NBC Sports Big Ten football, and he's on the road. It's Colorado visiting Nebraska. He'll be there with Paul Burmeister and Catherine Tappan, sideline reporter, coming up on Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern on NBC in Peacock. All right, speaking of Colorado, Colt, if you're going to buy a stock, and I gave you the two stocks, you could buy Shedeur Sanders or Travis Hunter.
Oh, man, that's a great question. Both of them really, really good. I like to just see what my eyes see, not listen to a lot of the things that are going and just watch the tape. And you look at what Shedeur has done last year and this year. I thought he played great last week. I mean, guys are in his face. He's throwing balls in tight windows. He's accurate. He's got full command of what they're trying to do. But you look at Travis Hunter, he played 137 snaps. I think he's the best, best all-around player in college football. And when he plays receiver, he's dynamic. He creates separation.
You're stalling, Colt. You're
on defense. On defense, he makes tackles. He's not afraid to put his face in there and be physical. But I think they're both probably first-round picks. I think Travis Hunter probably, goes as probably the best corner in the draft.
Can you play both ways in the pros? Could Travis Hunter play offense and defense? And I'm not talking about 10 plays on offense, but could you play maybe 70% of the plays on offense and then 100% on defense?
It'd be hard to do. I mean, the good thing is his head coach is the last one who really truly did it, right? He's got a playbook there. I'm sure that they've talked about that. But I think just in today's NFL, playing on either side is hard, right? And so I think he's probably naturally more of a corner, but if you really want to play receiver, he could probably do that too.
Will you get a sit down with Deion Sanders before Saturday night's game?
I think so, Friday.
What do you want to know from Deion?
There's a lot. I think they're a better football team than what they were last year. I really do. I think the question that we all want to know is, you've got all these transfers. Are these guys gelled together? Are these guys, can they combine all their experience but just play as a team? And for me, it's the big question is kind of O-line, D-line. You look at their skill. They can score at any time. I mean, I had one play drive for 80 yards and a touchdown, right? That they're explosive, but can they hold up in protection? Can they run the football a little bit better? And can they stop the run? Because against Nebraska, that's an experienced offensive line that has probably 250 plus starts together, and they're going to run the football. They ran it 50 times last week. And so I guess my question to him is through the portal, do you feel comfortable, going into this game, this rivalry into Nebraska with the play of your O-line and D-line?
Handicap the Big Ten. Ohio State looked good, but that wasn't a legitimate opponent. Michigan was a little sluggish here. You got USC with a big win, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, Penn State. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I don't ever put a whole lot of stock into the first week. I mean, there's penalties, there's situational football that gets messed up. They don't have scrimmages in college, right? There's so many things that you kind of just glance by. But I thought Penn State looked really good. I thought USC played really well. Miller Moss looked like he's a seasoned veteran. Situationally, third downs, he made some big time throws. I was just really impressed by him. Oregon looked a little shaky. Michigan looked a little shaky. I think Michigan will settle in. They've got a very good defense, and well coached. I mean, Wink Martindale, I used to have nightmares when we had to play against him in the NFL. But Ohio State, I think they'll be fine. Look, I think the Big Ten is really unique in that you're East Coast to West Coast, and there's a lot of first time matchups. And you know, when I think of Big Ten football, I think of the Iowas, the Wisconsins, the Michigans, the Ohio States, these big linemen, sort of will on you type teams, and then you're bringing in the Oregons, the Washingtons, the spread them out, the speed, those types of. So I just think this year there's going to be some really fun matchups across the board.
How weird is it that your alma mater is in the SEC?
It's kind of weird. It's us in Oklahoma going to the SEC. I think we were probably a little bit ahead of the curve when we started thinking about that 2 or 3 years ago. Kudos to all those folks who make those decisions, but it's still a little bit weird thinking that you're in the SEC.
How do you do when you run into Oklahoma fans?
Decent. I mean, you can't really say anything to me. We were 3-1 and barely lost that one. That's the one I remember the most. But that's such a great rivalry. I mean, the thing I'm excited about the most for Texas going to the SEC would be that as a fan now, we get all of your rivalry games, right? You get to keep the Texas-Oklahoma game in the Cotton Bowl. The A&M game comes back. That's a home and home. That's such a great game for our state. And, I grew up in Texas, and so I just remember every Thanksgiving, that's the game that you watch. It's so much fun. And then the old Arkansas game, the Southwest Conference game, that's a big rivalry from back in the day. And to know that those 3 games are on the schedule every year, I think as a Texas fan, you got to really appreciate that.
Talking to Colt McCoy, 14 years as an NFL quarterback, now working for NBC, their Big Ten football analyst, and he'll be on the call with Paul Burmeister. That'll be coming up Saturday night. It's Colorado and Nebraska. You were 2-time Heisman Trophy, runner-up or finalist?
Finalist. I think I was runner-up one time, but finalist. Yeah, bridesmaid.
Do you get anything for that?
No.
Like a certificate? Like nothing?
No. Maybe a T-shirt. I don't know.
Well, what's it like when you're sitting there and they're ready to make that announcement of who's going to win the Heisman?
I think the first time I was there, my junior year, 2008, we had a really good year, a good football team. We ended up losing one game to Texas Tech, like on a last-second play. So I'd played good, so I felt like I really had a chance to win that one. I was a little bit disappointed. But it was me and Bradford and Tebow, and obviously Bradford was deserving of it. I mean, he had a great year too. And then I go back the next year, my senior year, and I knew that we were a different football team. We had a lot of young receivers. We never really blew anybody out, but we did enough throughout the year. And it wasn't as explosive or highlight plays as it was the year before. And so I just really felt like we were a good football team and we were going to win the national championship, but I didn't think I was going to win the Heisman. So I wasn't as disappointed the second time, but honestly, it was really a fun trip. It was the first time that, my family and my folks and my grandparents ever been in New York City. And so like we soaked it up. I mean, we got to see all the sights and they treated us really well. And looking back, that was a really fun time together.
But you knew you weren't going to win.
No, I thought I was going to win my junior year, but I knew my senior year I wasn't going to win.
Who won that year?
Mark Ingram.
Oh, okay. All right. Running backs don't win anymore, do they? It's a quarterback award, pretty much.
Pretty much. I think Travis Hunter, if we're talking about the best player in college football, I mean, and I don't want to talk about just one game, right? But if he can sustain some of the things that he's doing and making plays on both sides of the ball, and I mean, 3 touchdowns as a two-way player, like he only touched the ball in offense like 6 times, but he changed the whole game. I mean, we're talking about the best player in college football. He's got to be in that conversation with the quarterbacks.
Okay, 14 years in the NFL, the one pass that you completed that you want your grandkids to see.
Oh, wow.
Is there one that stands out?
I mean, there's several. I mean, I have my favorite throws as the quarterback and all that, but one that I don't feel like people see very often is we're playing Indianapolis. It's let's see, it's probably 2000. I can't remember, 14, 15. We're playing Indianapolis. We run a keeper down the red zone. The game's kind of close. Andrew Luck, those guys end up scoring 40 points or something against us. I played all right in the game, but we run a keeper, and I've got like 3 guys all around me. And I can hear Jay Gruden on the sideline saying, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away, don't take the sack. And it's like, and I kind of dodge somebody, I spin out of another tackle, I make somebody miss, and then I look up like to throw the ball away, and I see Logan Paulson about 10 yards in front of me just standing in the end zone by himself, waving his hands. And I flick it out there. We scored a touchdown. I turn around, I look at Jay, and I tried to throw it away, but he was open. And you know, I don't see that play very often, but to me, it was like, it was one of those really fun plays. It's like, how did you get out of that? Like what, like Houdini kind of, and I think someday it'll be fun to show my son, because, you know, he's always wanting to race. My girls are always wanting to race. And they're pretty athletic, but I think that was about maximum athleticism for me, and that'll be a fun one to show them.
That was
someday.
your Johnny Manziel moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't compare it to Johnny Manziel, but it was still don't know how I did it.
Well, have fun on Saturday night. Tell Paul we said hello, and thanks again for joining us, Colt.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Love your show.
Colt McCoy, 14 years as a quarterback and now working for NBC. It'll be Colorado versus Nebraska, Big Ten Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern, NBC and Peacock.